So, hi everybody, whatever time of day and wherever you are in the world or your life and you're listening to this. It's Wendy Clifford here from Cloud2020 with Ian Bourne, our CEO. And today we're going to talk to you about another of our products. Now, this isn't a vertical product, is it, Ian? It's more of a horizontal product, but for me, it kind of sits around functionality, actually. So a functionality that pretty much every business needs to actually take care of. You know, it's a legal requirement to take care of this. We're going to talk about the HR management solution that we are an implementation partner for HubDrive for, and that we've been working with them for about a year now, I think. Well, actually over a year, haven't we? But we've been implementing probably for about a year. And we're seeing a lot of interest in this, and a bit later on, obviously, we'll talk about, we've got a webinar coming up with them, we'll give that details later. But I'm just kind of interested in, I remember meeting Jason in the Blues, what was it? What was the name of that pub?
The Blues Bar, I think it was, in Las Vegas.
The Blues Bar, and you were so disappointed because you'd missed Carlos Santana by about a month, hadn't you, weren't you?
I cannot tell you how this. There's two gigs I've missed, that's one of them, and the other one was I missed Sade by a week in Los Angeles when I went to what was then the World Partner Convention, is now Inspire, and Sade lives about 5 miles from me. And I've never seen her or met her, and I'm one of her biggest fans. So yeah, that was a shame. But yeah, Carlos Santana, he plays regularly at that bar. It's not a huge place in Vegas, but he likes that kind of type of venue. So yeah, I was just. But anyway, we met Jason from the whole point was we met Jason from HubDrive.
Yeah.
And what a great company they are to work with.
Yes, absolutely.
Hugely professional, very sharp, very engaging, and very supportive of partners like ourselves to deploy their products. And it's a lovely partnership, relationship that we have with them, and a great example of how that can work. But yeah, we were excited with it because I always said, you know, we deliver like marketing, sales, customer service, project service, field service, finance, all that kind of good stuff. But where's the people? And where's the people that in a platform that we could deliver comfortably from SMB upwards, and from really small upwards, and that either could stand alone, which HR for Dynamics can, or sit right alongside a Dynamics deployment, and it does both of those, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that there is a Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics 365 HR platform, but let's just say that it probably doesn't fit so well in a smaller business, an SMB, or even enterprise customers who are already running Dynamics 365 CE, for example, may want to consider this platform because of the ease. But also, as we've discovered, you don't have to actually be running that. Even you can expose all of this stuff on a Power Platform, and licensing wise that stands up. It makes it accessible for people, and actually the end user doesn't really know anyway, unless they already know about Dynamics 365. So I think it's a very flexible platform. My experience of selling it is that people really like it. HR departments really like it. They like the clarity. They like the fact that they've got everything in there. I mean, right the way through from recruitment, which we have to say it no longer sits within HR in the Microsoft platform. So, you know, it has that advantage that it has that built-in recruiting platform, and also that you can make use of the Power App portals as well, to use that to bring in people, applicants, people outside your circle of the people you know can apply, and all of that data can then sit in your HR solution. So I think it's been great, actually, getting to know this, getting to know the people that work in this industry, getting to understand what the pain points are for them. And I think, I don't know, what would you say was the kind of major pain point? I know I've got my own ideas, but I'm interested in what you think.
Yeah, I think clearly we're talking about HR, we're talking about people here, we're talking about personal details. So security is right up there, absolutely right up there. And of course, you get that in bucket loads with Microsoft, because it's there. It's interesting things like the conversation by email between an HR person using the platform and an individual only shows up in the HR platform, which is secured by security roles. So that's even that is been thought about. But obviously the document management as well, sitting in SharePoint, again only accessible through the platform and security role, and that kind of thing is really powerful, because people don't want to share their bank account details, obviously, but maybe permits to work and passports and all that kind of good stuff. It's really powerful stuff. But also, this one of the things I really like about it in things like the self-service option. So this is where individuals can go in and update their personal details, their personal contact details, apply for their leave, and other HR requests, and see their reports and their targets, what have you, completely independently. And of course, in this day and age, you can also record your time.
Yes.
And in some cases, it's really important, because people are now, with this dispersed working scenario we're in, then some organisations are keen to know that you are working. Clearly, my view is most people working from home actually work longer than they would do at work. You've actually got to control and make sure they don't overwork their day. I think that's a bigger issue. But in some cases, literally start and stop, and that can be done in Teams, through the browser, or on their phone. I mean, it's really a powerful bit of kit, but it's been well built. So the issue really is around configuring it. There's a lot of configuration to be done, but we haven't yet found a hole in it. Well, we had one the other day, which was a customer that wanted to manage ships, staffing on ships, with a whole, and that was slightly different, because obviously you had all those jobs, all those positions on a ship, and every 2 months they were replaced with somebody else, and sometimes they were the same people from the time before, and sometimes they're not. But that was a fairly simple thing for us to reconfigure, and now we've got a ship management system, which so lots of really good stuff. But security, for me, back to your question, is right up there, and I think we can easily convince people around the security of the platform. Yeah,
I agree. I think for me, I think one of the challenges really of the HR department, particularly now that most of us are working from home, or we're working in shifts and changing over groups and teams, going into the workplace, that's staying in touch with people and being certain that they're okay, actually, which is part of that wellness. Wellbeing function is part of HR, and it's a very simple use of technology, but I really like this. So the private data that you mentioned, which of course is only available to either the HR manager or the line manager of the person and the person we're talking about. But say, for example, you see there is a way in which within the solution, the HR manager gets notified of any changes to that personal and private data. And you might think, well, why? That's just technology. Why is that important? Well, the fact is, if you've got one of your employees that simultaneously changes their address and changes their next of kin, the person to contact in their emergency, they've got some major changes going on in their personal life. And then you see that maybe they're beginning to take more days off sick. You've actually got a notification of some major life changes going on for a person, and that they may be struggling. So it's an indication of that, which I hope is used in the right way to approach that person and say, hey, are you okay? Do you need to take a bit of time out? What's going on for you? I just noticed this, need to just check in. So I like that way that technology is moving to help solve that issue, that pain point, which is, how do we stay in touch with our employees now, our colleagues? How do we make sure they're okay? How do we actively, proactively take care of their well-being? So I think that for me is a real strong point within the solution.
I knew that would be important to you, because it's you all over, Wendy, and you're a great people person, and I love you for that. It's fabulous. I think one other issue is in this day and age, talent is so important. Our business in particular, as we both know, finding the right talent, having it on board, and keeping it on board and keeping it engaged is a massive issue, right? There's not enough talent to go around. The sector is growing dramatically in terms of demand, what have you, and one thing about this platform is obviously you can do the recruitment, and the recruitment process means that once it's set up, you can recycle a lot of stuff like job profiles and all that kind of good stuff, descriptions. You can post them up these vacancies on LinkedIn or Monsterboard and all that kind of good stuff, or internally. You can search through, and when you're looking for a particular player, a particular person, and be able to match up whether you've already had somebody apply that's very similar, or you've got somebody internally that actually fits very closely to that requirement. So therefore, with a bit of investment in that person, you could bring them up to that. I'm a massive fan of internal promotion and support, what have you. But then also you obviously got the portal, so you can then publish that onto your website or elsewhere. But the important thing is that once somebody applies and they can see the progress of their application on that portal, once you make the offer, you then can engage them from that day as part of the onboarding process, so that they feel already part of the organisation. They're starting to learn about the organisation. So the day they walk through the door, which doesn't happen now, but technically walk through the door, they're already start to feel part of the team. That they're starting to feel they understand what the organisation is about, and importantly for obviously the employer, they're pretty well effective from day one. So a lot of really good things in there. We've only just touched the surface on some of the functionality of that platform, but a really, really powerful bit of kit, and something that we're both obviously very excited about.
Yes, and I mean currently we're kind of working globally in this term, because the great thing is the flexibility in terms of employment terms and conditions is that you can build in the local mandatory requirements around things like mandatory breaks after so many working hours, so that time doesn't actually come off that person's time within the day. All of that kind of stuff. I think it's a very, very flexible solution. And I know we don't have time, sadly, to go into a great deal of detail here, but we wanted to. I felt like, okay, so last week we were talking about the Springboard launch. This week I wanted us to give a little bit of love to the HR solution and get that information out to people. But I know that you and Jason, the famous Jason, are going to be doing a webinar, aren't you? Focusing on these kind of things, more around, I think, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but that's more around the digitalisation of the HR management process and how we can help people move on from spreadsheets all over the place and documents all over the place, and staying on top of deadlines and things like that. So I'm just looking at my notes here. We've got March the 3rd, 11 to 11:45 a.m. and we'll be posting links to that up on LinkedIn and at the end of this, I think. But also people miss
Bring your coffee.
Yes.
Come and have a listen.
Absolutely. It's bound to be entertaining. Jason's a very entertaining speaker. And now he can pay me for that. But also, if you can't make it on the day, obviously we'll be posting recordings. It'll be up on our YouTube channel. We'll put it out on LinkedIn. We'll also put it out on Twitter, your social media of choice. And if you can't find it, just give us a shout and we'll send it out to you. Send out the recording. Yeah,
absolutely. Brilliant. Just one last thing. I'm having a giggle at the moment because we've got our tech team deploying this currently in Finland, and seeing them trying to work out how to deploy this in Finnish is just absolutely hilarious. But anyway, that's a whole different discussion. Great talking to you this morning.
And not even just Finland, it's a tiny island off the coast of Finland, isn't it? The reach of Cloud 2020 is relentless.
Brilliant.
So I guess we're done for today, and we'll catch everybody again next week. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.